disciples, stop judging, that you may not be judged. For as you judge, so will you be judged. And the measure with which you measure will be measured out to you. Why do you notice the splinter in your brother's eye, but do not perceive the wooden beam in your own? How can you say to your brother or sister, "Let me remove that splinter from your eye," while the wooden beam is in your eye? You hypocrite. Remove the wooden beam from your eye first, then you will see clearly to remove the splinter from your brother's eye. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Who can ever really judge rightly or fairly? When we judge, we do not define the other person. We define ourselves. Because often as not, we're way off the mark. That's what Jesus is talking about in the gospel today. And we're off the mark because we do not truly see the other person. We don't know all of the facts. We don't know the motives, the circumstances, the life that this person has lived and is living. And even what we do see is marked by our own biases and projections, not by what truly is there, because we look at others and see what we want to see or believe we see. Many years ago, I was a layman, and I was serving on this weekend retreat. And part of the team was this fellow and myself, and he pulled me aside and said, "Modesto, I want to really apologize to you." And I say, "Why?" Now, mind you, we were friends. And we'd known each other for a few years. And he said, "Well, because I need to ask your forgiveness because many years ago, at first sight, when I saw you, I thought you were an arrogant, uppity son of a gun. I didn't really know you. And I want to ask you forgiveness for that." Of course, it was kind of disconcerting, because the moment that he judged me, I was actually running from one place to another, carrying jugs of water and food for the people who were making the weekend. I was working in the kitchen, and I was not exactly dressed to kill. But you see, he was a very humble, good man, of very humble origins. But he knew I was an attorney. And he projected automatically onto me his own insecurities and fears. I'm not saying I'm superior to him, because I do it and you do it, all of us do it. We spend most of our times criticizing and judging others, if not going as far as gossiping. certainly in our own mind, kind of defining. And so the Lord is saying to us today, take that darn beam off your eyes. You can't even begin to see what is in the other's heart, what they are experiencing and living at this moment. You don't know all of the facts, or even are able to truly interpret what you're watching, because you're blind. You're blind to yourself. You're blind to your faults, willingly and willfully so. So, first of all, look inward. Examine your own soul and your heart. Seek to please no one or impress no one or do anything other than for me. Then you will begin to see clearly as I see, and you will not see evil in the other. You will see a soul that needs prayer, that needs support, that needs friendship, that needs you to be me, to him or her. St. Aloysius Gonzaga, whom we commemorate today, was a very young man when he passed, about 23 years old. He came from a very wealthy and powerful family who wanted him to follow in the footsteps of all his relatives and ancestors. At age 3 or 4, he was already placed in an academy to be a military. His career was to be a politician. And when he began from an early age to be completely turned off by the corruption, the lasciviousness of court, he turned to the Lord and knew he wanted to commit himself, and even made a private vow of virginity. When his father, a very powerful and violent man, found out, to say he was disappointed was the least of it. He said, well, if you want to follow God, at least why don't you get ordained a diocesan priest that I can buy a bishopric for you. Judging according to the values of the world. But St. Aloysius wanted to turn his life completely to God and joined the Jesuits. And his first task during the plague was literally carrying the sick and the dying until he himself became sick and died. He valued only the Lord and said, better to be a son of God than king of the world. When we begin to judge others and criticize, we're not living as children of God, but as children of the world. And we're judging in accordance with those values. In this Eucharist, may the Lord grant us the grace to see things, to see people, all in accordance with his own values and with his own eyes. To begin by seeing ourselves as his children, so that we may act accordingly and reflect him in our lives.